My daughter got married, and I sat quietly in the corner of the church, smiling like any mother would, though my heart carried a secret heavier than my years. She looked beautiful and radiant, as if all the struggles we once lived through had never touched her. Her laughter rang through the hall, her veil caught the sunlight, and in that moment I almost forgot the weight of the truth I kept hidden. You see, when her father passed away, he left behind more than memories. He left me $7 million, a fortune I had never even dreamed of. The papers, the signatures, the quiet call from the lawyer, all of it felt unreal, like a story meant for someone else, and yet it was mine. Mine to guard, mine to decide how and when it would ever see the light of day. But as I sat there at her wedding, I knew I couldn't say a word. Not when her smile was so pure, not when her heart was so full of love for the life she was about to begin. Money changes people. It twists smiles into expectations and turns love into calculations. I wanted her to start this new chapter free of all that. So I clapped when everyone clapped. I cried quietly when she said her vows. I prayed for her happiness, all the while pressing that secret closer to my chest like a locket no one could see. I may be rich in the eyes of the bank, but I chose to be rich in silence, because my daughter deserved a wedding day filled with love, not numbers. And in my quiet corner I whispered to myself, thank God she doesn't know. The money came from my late husband, but I never told my daughter because deep in my soul I wanted to know if her love for me was real, pure, without a price tag. When her father died, he left behind more than memories and grief. He left a fortune that could have changed both our lives overnight. $7 million. To a widow who had once counted coins at the market, it was a mountain of gold. But I didn't run to her with the news. I stayed silent. You see, I have seen how money can spoil hearts. Neighbors who once shared bread together now barely speak because of land disputes. Brothers who grew up in the same bed no longer greet each other because of inheritance. I did not want that poison in my bond with my only child, so I folded the papers neatly, tucked them away in a drawer, and decided that silence would be my shield. My daughter never asked if I had enough to eat, never wondered if my roof leaked when it rained. She was busy chasing her dreams, and I let her. Each time I thought of telling her, a voice inside whispered, wait. See if she comes back to you for love, not for money. That voice became my guide. Sometimes I wondered if I was being unfair, keeping such a secret. But then I remembered the way she once held my hand as a little girl, before she knew the value of dollars and jewels. That is the love I wanted to test, the love of a daughter for her mother, without riches in between. And so I stayed quiet, guarding both my fortune and my fragile hope. She drifted away after her father's death, like a boat untying itself from the shore, slowly moving farther until it was just a speck in the distance. I remember the first few weeks after the funeral, how quiet the house felt without his voice, how heavy the evenings were without anyone to share tea with. I thought maybe she would visit, maybe sit with me in the silence, maybe ask, Mama, are you eating well? But the questions never came. The days stretched into months, and still she did not ask if the roof leaked when the monsoon rains poured or if I had enough firewood for the cold nights. She was building her life elsewhere, too busy with her world to notice the cracks forming in mine. I do not blame her completely. Youth is often blind to the needs of the old, but each unanswered silence pressed on me like a stone. I would cook small meals, enough for one, and eat them at the kitchen table where once a family had gathered. Sometimes I fixed the broken hinges on doors with my own trembling hands. Sometimes I prayed the walls would hold through another winter storm. She never asked, and I never told. Mothers are stubborn like that. We carry our pain quietly so our children don't feel the weight. And yet every knock I imagined at the door, every ring of the phone that never came, left a little ache inside. Not for the lack of food or comfort, but for the lack of her presence. Her father's death did not just take him away. It carried her farther from me too, and I sat in the old house, whispering to myself, she has drifted away. But I still wait. At her wedding, I sat quietly in my chair, my hands folded over each other, the same way I used to fold them when she was a little girl singing hymns beside me. As she walked down the aisle, glowing in white, my heart swelled with pride and sorrow all at once. I whispered a prayer of thanks to God, not just for giving her a good man to walk beside, but for keeping my secret safe. She doesn't know about the money, and I am grateful for that silence. You see, wealth is like a shadow. It follows you, but it also darkens everything around you. If she knew I had $7 million, would she still see me as her mother, the woman who mended her dresses and kissed her bruised knees? Or would she start measuring me in numbers, wondering when and how the fortune would pass into her hand? That thought chilled me more than any winter night ever could. As she exchanged vows, I told myself again, thank God she doesn't know. Her smile was pure, untouched by greed or calculation. Her eyes shone only with love for her husband, not expectation from me. I wanted to freeze that moment, to hold onto the picture of her as a daughter who still saw me simply as Mama, not as a keeper of wealth. Money has a way of changing relationships, twisting even the strongest bond. I've seen it tear families apart like wild dogs over scraps. So I keep my secret close, guarding it as fiercely as a lion guards its cubs. Let her live her life without that weight. At her wedding, as laughter filled the hall, I breathed my prayer once more. Thank God she doesn't know. I live simply, my dear, with my roses, my tea, and my old quilts. The roses bloom by the fence every spring, their petals soft as silk, their thorns sharp as truth. I water them with the same old tin can I've had for decades, and they never fail me. They remind me that beauty doesn't need riches, it only needs care. In the mornings, I brew my tea in a chipped porcelain cup, the same one my husband once held. I sit by the window, sip slowly, and watch the sun rise over the garden. That quiet warmth fills me more than any banquet ever could. At night, when the air turns cool, I pull out the quilts I stitched long ago, each patch sewn with scraps of old dresses, curtains, and memories. They carry the story of my life, threads of hardship, threads of love, and threads of survival. I sleep soundly beneath them, comforted not by gold, but by the work of my own hands. And yes, the fortune sits in the bank, untouched, waiting. $7 million, more than enough to buy mansions, jewels, and all the luxuries I could imagine. But I have no hunger for such things. What I hunger for is peace, and that I already have. The money is not a master over me. It is merely a secret companion, resting quietly until the day I decide what purpose it should serve. Perhaps it will help her one day, or perhaps it will go to those who truly need it. For now it stays hidden like a seed beneath the soil, waiting for the right season. Until then, I choose my roses, my tea, and my old quilts. They are my true treasures.